This is Coach Myrna Young, lifestyle entrepreneur and certified professional coach, and you are listening to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio hour and podcast. I believe it takes a mindset shift to take you to the next level in your career, your finances, relationships, health and fitness, or happiness. So, your journey to manifesting your goals and desires starts now. Transform your mind to transform your life. Welcome to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio hour and podcast. I'm your host, life coach Myrna Young, and today my guest is Joseph Sheehy, CEO and founding partner of Cured Nutrition, and we are going to be talking on the topic, is CBD oil a wellness product? And I know you all want to hear this because CBD has blown up in the last year or so. So welcome, Joseph.
Thank you, Myrna. I'm excited to be here and hopefully pass on some education that has yet to be absorbed.
True. And I am going to be the first one putting up my hand because I'm going to be educated myself. All right. Okay, well, let me give you a bit more information about Joseph. Joseph is the managing partner of Cured Nutrition. Joseph says he left corporate aerospace to build his own space. From Lockheed Martin design engineer to managing partner of premium CBD oil and hemp products. Sheehy's strong belief in our connection to nature drives his everyday purpose and has led to his incredible brand success. Their Colorado-based, organically grown hemp products have been engineered to transform your approach towards an elevated life and tap into your inherent potential. That is your greatest mind and body alignment. Awesome. All right. So let's get ourselves educated. But first, I always want to start off the show by letting the listeners get a feel for you as a person and your journey. I know your bio says that you came from the corporate world and now you're into natural health products. So what was your journey to transitioning to becoming a partner in a CBD company?
Yeah, thank you for asking that, and thank you for that incredible intro. It's so inspiring to hear that read back. I'm like, okay, cool. We put those words together well. It's been a ride. When you say corporate aerospace and then you put that next to cannabis, they really don't go hand in hand.
Sure.
And my upbringing and into my college years was really focused on math and science because it was my strong point, and my reading and writing skills were not necessarily the best. And I had this incredible interest in space and the human potential. And I didn't ask as many questions in my younger years as I do now. And not saying that led me down the wrong path, because the path of an engineer and contributing to NASA projects was very beautiful and it was very fruitful. And it took a lot of work to get there. It was a process of strong self-discovery, and I would have to say that although I did end up in corporate America and in what I considered to be my dream career and job, I spent most of my years in college really discovering that I didn't know who I really was. And within that, I had this work hard, play hard mentality that was actually not a very healthy approach. And I found myself involved in a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, and actually a really destructive life in college. It led me to a place of severe depression because the person who I wanted to be and then the person who I was in a day-to-day presentation, there was a huge dissonance between the two. And whether I was recognizing that on the surface or not didn't matter, because my subconscious knew it. And I found myself in a place that was quite it was off, and it led me to a place of actually trying to commit suicide towards my last year of college. And
oh my goodness.
what that was a massive wake-up call into the fact that I wasn't living in my true authentic self, and I wasn't really, listening. I just wasn't listening. So that wake-up call sparked a massive journey. And at the time, I left Boulder, Colorado. I left everybody that I had around me, and I completely just wiped my plate clean. I said, you know what? If I'm going to pursue this aerospace career, I need to get my act together, and I also need to really discover who I am. So I recognized the need and was very, very thankful to be brought to a place where I had a community, specifically my parents, helping me and saying, okay, well, we need to take care of you. You need to take care of yourself, and you need to cut out this destructive lifestyle and focus on what's really going to take you into who you want to be. So I found myself very lonely for a couple of years, and within that started to really dive into what it meant to be truly healthy. And as I had started my career in engineering, I had also started what I called a side business that was very, it was unsuccessful, but I was trying to, as I expanded my horizon in the health and fitness world and started physique competitions myself, I also started to coach others to do the same. And while I sat in my cubicle day to day in the aerospace world, while I saw the projects and programs that I was working on to be extremely awe-inspiring, I didn't feel the impact that I wanted to put into this world. And while I sat in those cubicle walls at Lockheed Martin, I also viewed the outside world as so much more than I was allowing myself to really give to myself. And being in Colorado, medical marijuana and then recreational marijuana was legalized. And as someone who had used cannabis in my college years and also found many other destructive pieces of the drug and party world, I looked at cannabis and I noticed that when I used it in a very intentional way, I saw the medicinal benefits. I saw myself be able to calm down, to be able to work on my anxiety, and I also saw myself be able to be a lot more creative. And when I started to discover that those were the truths underlying marijuana in my world, I wanted that message to be put out on the masses. I wanted to say, hey, I've actually seen marijuana be useful for me, and now I'm using it from a medical standpoint, and I'm passing it to my loved ones, and I see them being able to not take the same type of medications that they used to have to take, and I see them using it in a way that is so different than what I would say a stigmatized way of viewing it. The stoner Cheech and Chong viewpoint has its truths, but I would never say that it's a blanket statement. And I said, you know what, I would love to be somebody that contributes to changing our perspective on cannabis. And as the years progressed, I started diving a lot more into what cannabis really was and what all the cannabinoids within the plant were. And that's where CBD became a focus. I said, okay, well, there's this cannabinoid, cannabidiol, and we'll dive deep into this, but this cannabinoid is non-intoxicating like THC, and it has a wide array of medicinal benefits. I truly believed and saw that this was the place to start to help, as your podcast's name, transform minds around what cannabis really is. We're not looking at all the data, and I think that this is true in our world. And right now, we need to talk about what are all the truths, what is all the data, and who do we need to listen to. I think that's a very important statement for right now, and for the cannabis industry and the path that I ended up taking. So I got to a place where I was very frustrated with my career. I was not being included in meetings, and I felt like I just was not like actually stepping into my full potential. And when that frustration builds to such a great place, I said, you know what, this is enough. I'm not going to allow this to be my story, and ended up quitting one day after seeing a therapist and saying, you know what, I'm at a loss. I want to have impact in this world. I also feel myself slipping back into depression, which I can recognize from years in the past. The therapist turns to his desk, he flips over a business card, he writes something on it, and he hands it to me, and I flip it over, and it says permission on it. And he said, you know what, you just need to give this to yourself. And that was the day in which I put in my letter of resignation, and I dove headfirst into what cannabis truly is and how we can view cannabis as something that's actually for our health and wellness.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. I love that. So you started working on your body and coaching, and then started to recognize the benefits of the marijuana of itself. And then, of course, you transitioned into understanding, you call the word, I've never heard it before, but I'm going to attempt to say it, the cannabinoid, which is non-intoxicating, which I understand that CBD oil is non-intoxicating. So we're going to get into that later on, where you're going to tell us the difference and all that between CBD and marijuana. So that was your process. Now, you left out the part, how did you start the company, or when did you start the company? And how did that transition to starting a company? Yes. Okay.
Details. It's in the details. So while I was pursuing this health and fitness passion of mine and the true expression of who I wanted to be, I started to build a community of health and fitness professionals. And I started my own podcast, actually. It was called Committed Physiques Radio, and I started it back in 2016. And while creating that podcast, the conversations that I had with individuals was, okay, you've committed yourself to transforming your body and transforming your lifestyle and transforming your health. Like, what ignited this, and what are we not talking about? And let's shed some light on things that we're not talking about. And that's when cannabis started to come up more and more. It was like, okay, yeah, I'm a respected health and fitness professional. I'm a respected professional regardless. And actually, you know what? I use cannabis, and it helps me recover. It helps me sleep. It helps me calm down. And a lot of the times these conversations would happen outside of the minutes of the radio. Podcast. And I said, that's not right. Like, that's not okay. We need to actually, we need to have this conversation. And that was when I said, okay, this community of individuals, these health and fitness professionals that, you know, I hold in high regard, and they have a well-respected community as well. If I can utilize my relationships with these people, put the right information out there into this world, and educate from a standpoint of, hey, I am someone focused on health and fitness and general wellness, and I use cannabinoids or cannabis in general, then I think we can make this message actually work. And that's what happened. In the beginning months of really creating what the idea of cured nutrition was, I started, you know, ordering up CBD oils and different extracts, and really creating products at my house at the time, and then sending them to those community members and saying, hey, like, give this a try. Tell me if it helps you as well, if you sleep well, if you feel the calming properties, and on and on and on. And I had hand raise after hand raise after hand raise, and I said, okay, here's an idea. Here's a community of people that can help me put a message out into this world. Here's my life on a day-to-day basis that I'm getting really frustrated with and really feeling like I'm not having the impact that I want to have. And then finding myself slipping into a depression again, because there was this dissonance of what I really wanted to do, who I wanted to be, and what I was doing on a day-to-day basis, all culminating in that day out of the therapist's office, then led me putting in my letter of resignation and then utilizing heavily social media and, partnership marketing, where we said, okay, here's the information that we need to put out into this world. Here are my team members that will help me do that. And now there's no better time than now. So when I quit, I did not have a viable product. I did not have a customer base. I didn't even have a really, really cohesive plan on where to go, but I had this desire to change people's perspective on cannabis, and that message needed to be heard en masses. And I thought that with the community I had developed, that this would actually work. And lo and behold, it did.
It did.
And it's now been 3 years since Cured Nutrition has been started. But that's not to say it hasn't been a difficult process, because when we speak about cannabis and we speak about cannabis business, it's not the typical route of starting a business, getting a bank account, doing certain things that would be viewed as very easy when starting a business is different when you're in the cannabis space. So it's been quite the roller coaster, but I'm extremely thankful for all the experiences we've had, and what it's all rooted in is putting the correct message out there into this world that I viewed was not being done so yet.
Well, I think the message is heard. I'm not sure if it's converted into customers, but I definitely know it's converted into entrepreneurs and businesses like yourself. Every corner where I live, there's a sign that says you can get Use CBD oil here. I mean, it's or CBD products everywhere. And I know that one of the big names got into it big, and that's Mike Tyson. So the message is there for the entrepreneurs. I mean, a lot of people don't understand all the things that we're going to be talking about here today. They're not educated. It's all hype right now. And of course, I live in Fort Myers, Florida, and in the last election, there was we voted on using, I think it's medical marijuana or whatever, and I think it was not passed because for whatever reasons it didn't get enough votes. But sooner or later it will. And some other places, like you said, Colorado has, and several other places has. So, but anyway, yeah. So the transformation has started, and then comes education. People are still using marijuana, the thing that you smoke, but the CBD is where the big news is, and the big transition is. So, the question I have here, because as we're talking, I'm pretty sure that my listeners also want to understand the transition. So, what is CBD, and how do you get CBD from, I don't know, you used the word, I'm not sure if that's the name of the plant, the cannabinoid or something, but run us through, run us through, what specifically is CBD, and I'm pretty sure that's an acronym for something. Maybe we can even spell it out. What does that mean? Yeah,
absolutely, and this is where you'll see my inner nerd, inner engineer come out.
Bring it on.
so CBD is a cannabinoid, and what CBD stands for is cannabidiol. Cannabidiol is one cannabinoid out of over now 80 cannabinoids that have been identified in the cannabis plant. And the other widely known cannabinoid is tetrahydrocannabinol, which is THC, which is the cannabinoid that is actually intoxicating. But now when we take a step back and we say, okay, so there's over 80 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant, what we are learning now, and thanks to laws changing, have the ability to do, is we've recognized that all of these cannabinoids have therapeutic benefits. And when you combine them, certain cannabinoids have certain effects for certain areas. Now, CBD specifically has become so popular because you can actually get CBD without any THC in the product. Now, there's a difference between a THC-free product and a product that we call full spectrum. If the product is called full spectrum, it means it has all of those cannabinoids that I just discussed found in the product, but at very low concentrations. And the reason that CBD is being mass-produced right now is because the abundance of that cannabinoid, CBD, in the cannabis plant is really high. It's a lot easier to extract from the plant than some of the other minor cannabinoids that would live in that other 80-plus cannabinoids. But what's also really important to understand is where it is coming from and which version of the cannabis plant. So if we said cannabis, and I was looking at more or less a tree, a tree diagram, a top-down diagram, I would say cannabis lives at the top. And then below cannabis, which is where we identify which plant we're extracting it from, would live hemp and marijuana. Hemp and marijuana are both of the genus cannabis. They are both cannabis, but the way that they are differentiated is that the hemp plant is identified as having less than 0.3% THC. So it's very, very low in what we would call the intoxicating cannabinoid, and hemp, as we know and can see, has actually been used for a wide array of purposes, whether it be clothing, biofuel, actually food. We've all seen hemp seed oil or hemp hearts. So hemp has so many different purposes, but now we've actually bred hemp to have high concentrations of CBD and very low concentrations of THC, but the hemp plant almost looks very similar to the marijuana plant to be able to extract the cannabinoids from it. So then when we look at a cannabis plant, we would see a plant that's shorter. It has more flowers, which are considered the buds. That's where all the cannabinoids are coming from. But now marijuana
from the flowers, the buds. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can get it if you're extracting from a whole plant, but that's mostly where the cannabinoids are found. So then when you look at the marijuana plant, it is basically identified as it has greater than 0.3% THC. That's what you find in the medical dispensaries, and then what you find on the shelves in all places now, as you've identified, is CBD that has been extracted from the hemp plant. And when it's extracted from the hemp plant, it's regulated differently than being extracted from the marijuana plant. And that's why we've seen the growth that we have in that industry, because we're basically saying the concentrations are so low that it should not be intoxicating. And then the legal definition is it really just has to be below that 0.3%. So that's kind of how I try to identify where CBD is coming from, how you differentiate marijuana from hemp, and what the cannabinoids are. And as we said, the cannabinoids THC is associated with marijuana. The cannabinoid CBD is generally associated with a hemp plant. And that's not a blanket statement, but that's how you can basically differentiate the two. Okay.
All right. So, I learned a lot there about hemp. So CBD, what you're saying is the cannabis is on the top. I like your tree diagram. And then one side is the hemp and the other side is the marijuana plant. And all this CBD is coming from the hemp portion. So is anything being derived from the marijuana other than, or we're just smoking it? Are we making any products from that?
Yeah, we are. And I started with that differentiator to try to describe why it's so available on masses. And then your question is exactly correct. And it's true that we are extracting CBD from the marijuana plant and other cannabinoids from the marijuana plant. So that's what's going into edibles. That's what's going into topicals. That's what's potentially going into vaporizers. But it's regulated in a way that it can only be sold in a medical dispensary. And then depending on what state you're in, you either have to have your medical license or you have to be over the age of 21 to go into the store to buy it. So the reason it's available one place versus the other is because of the version of the cannabis plant that it was extracted from. But what's even more important, as you're starting to identify, is the other cannabinoids have so many medical benefits. And when they're all used in combination, they give what is called the Entourage Effect, or a synergistic effect, which essentially means they just work together. They're stronger together than as their individual cannabinoid. And so that's when I said full spectrum, what I meant is the full array of cannabinoids work better together than just isolating one on its own. And then, of course, you can find it now in a dispensary, or you could find it in a wellness store. And all the other cannabinoids do have medical benefits, and you can see them in so many different forms and extracts and really ways of using them in medical dispensaries right now, and hopefully that continues to change.
Well, that's awesome. All right, so that transitions into our topic today, and that is, is CBD oil a wellness product? So we're not going to get into that right now. Let's take our first break, and then we come back. We're going to dive into hopefully full spectrum, or we're going to dive into some of the benefits of a CBD as far as a wellness product. So we already know that's where Joseph is going, so we're just going to get educated on it. So keep it locked. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Beauty. It's not just a superficial thing. It's not just a matter of looking good. Beauty. It's all about how you present yourself. It's about being brave, being strong, and having an attitude. It's about daring to trust yourself, overcoming your fears, and going further. Beauty lies within us all, allowing us to bloom in the dark and overcome any obstacle, just like the lotus flower. Visit Lotus Flower Beauty Supply and discover all we have specifically prepared for you. Lotus Flower Beauty Supply is the most complete store where you can find high quality products at the best prices. Our website is www.lotusflowerbeautysupply.com. Dare to show the world your inner and outer beauty. Follow us on Instagram at Lotus Flower Beauty Supply. That is Lotus Flower Beauty Supply. Bloom from within. That website again is LOTUSFLOWERBEAUTYSUPPLY.com. Are you ready to unleash your inner voice? Then join Coach Michaela Gaston in her 3-hour masterclass to help you make your next move. You will discover how to use self-expression, breathing, reflecting, and meditations to help you get in touch with your inner voice that will propel you to make your next big move in any endeavor in your life. Go to voiceyourvision.net to join Amy from May 28th live on demand on Zoom. Enroll in Voice Your Vision today at 50% off the retail price. That's voiceyourvision.net. VOICEYOURVISION.net. ION.net, and unleash your inner voice. Author Betty Tucker shares the story of her life in her memoir, Don't Worry About the Mule Going Blind. Betty Tucker came of age in Belle Glade, Florida, infamous for its poverty and violence. Her childhood was one of debilitating poverty, born of racism, exploited migrant labor, multiple rapes and other abuse, and chronic illness among her family and acquaintances. The list is long and bitter. Betty then moved to California, earned her college degree, and raised a family. Then in 1997, she began a long and eventually successful search for her twin girls she had given up for adoption 30 years earlier. Don't Worry About the Mule Going Blind is a book about fear, insecurity, sexual abuse, and neglect. This memoir will look beyond the description of these difficulties in the author's life to examine how she acquired the tools she needed to take more control of her life and what decisions impacted her choices. Pick up your copy today. Don't Worry About the Mule Going Blind, now available on Amazon.
Looking for love while social distancing just got easier for LGBTQ women of color. Be True, Be You was created just for you. It's a Black-owned dating community for women of color to find meaningful relationships or friendships based on personality. Join now. The first 30 days are free. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Love starts with you and ends with Be True, Be You.
Free Naturally is a Black-owned small business that pride themselves on vegan-friendly, paraben-free, all-natural body butters, body creams, and body scrubs, which will keep your skin moisturized with a natural glow. This mother and daughter team started this company after finding no beauty products that offered natural products. Visit them at www.chemfreenaturally.com and find natural products for your natural skin. Follow them as well on Facebook and Instagram. That is ChemFreeNaturally.com.
How would you like to grow your sales over the next 90 days? Logics is an e-commerce web design and growth agency that has a vested interest in seeing your business grow. As more and more consumers are shopping online, now is the time to take your online business to the next level with a growth-driven website. They can help boost your sales in 90 days or less. It's been a challenging year so far, and they will help you adapt your strategy to thrive in 2020. Get a custom-crafted website that's not only functional, but speaks to your customers or audience in a way that moves them to action. They are seasoned online marketers that will help you design and implement digital marketing campaigns that generate leads that convert to sales. To learn more or schedule a time to talk, visit .logics.com. DOTLOGICS. .logics.com.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind, to Transform Your Life radio hour and podcast. I'm your host, life coach Renee Young. And in the guest chair today is Joseph Sheehy, CEO and founding partner of Cured Nutrition. And in the first segment, Joseph walked us through the differences between hemp and marijuana, took us down, he called it the North Path of finding out the cannabinoids, and I think that's the first time I heard that word, and the fact that, the plant has about 80 different cannabinoids in the plant, and most of them have therapeutic benefits. So now we are going to get into that portion of our show where we are going to dive into CBD products, and first we're going to classify it if they're a wellness product, and then what are some of the benefits of the CBD, products. So go ahead.
Amazing. Yeah. So absolutely, it is a wellness product, and the reason being is our bodies as humans all have what is called an endocannabinoid system. So this can basically be viewed as a lock and key system where we have receptors in our bodies that then attach to exogenous, so external from the body, or endogenous cannabinoids. And that system is actually responsible for contributing to our overall sleep and wake cycle, our mood, our appetite, and can really be viewed as an important component in reaching homeostasis, or reaching a balance point in our body. And how I like to describe this system in our body and compare it to something that might make a little bit more sense is like having deficiencies in vitamin D. So we could have deficiencies in vitamin D or any other vitamin or mineral, and it is going to affect our body. And the way in which we help reverse that is we want to find the place in which our system is most balanced. So too much of something is not good, and then also not enough is not going to actually get you to where you need to be from a general health and wellness perspective. So what's going on is there are a lot of people that are starting to view cannabinoids, and then we can say CBD specifically, as what would be called an adaptogen. It can be used to reduce the body's stress response and come back to a place of more or less even keel. And so with that being the truth, what we would then say is, oh, okay, well, this sounds like something that would almost be like using a daily vitamin or a daily mineral. And it sounds like our body needs to find where that balance point is. And I want to note that there are other things such as black pepper or even your water intake solely that can have an effect on your endocannabinoid system. It's not just the cannabinoids. But since we have that system, and we've always had that system, it's not like we just made it up. We just weren't exploring the body that in depth. And so now it's been recognized that, whoa, there's a system that almost serves perfectly to take in exogenous cannabinoids and to be able to benefit our overall stress response as a human being. Wow, that should be a daily thing that we focus on, and that's definitely something that's going to contribute to our overall health. So
because
long-winded answer. Long-winded answer, but I would say yes, it's absolutely a wellness product, and we can definitely get into the routines and benefits and forms in taking it, because that's what's so important, is
let's transition into that. I know, from my own personal journey that I have some problems sleeping, which apparently 70% of Americans do, and I have taken the gummy bears, for the CBD gummy bears, to help me with sleep. It didn't work for me, at least I didn't notice a difference. And I also know that if you've got glaucoma, then you can be prescribed CBD. Now, I don't understand the glaucoma, connection, but you just mentioned the sleep-wake cycle connection thing. So, if you can talk about maybe the most popular, ailments that the CBD products, as far as a wellness product, would help with, would be great.
Yeah. So, I always have to be extremely careful when approaching this conversation, because I'll start with saying I'm not a medical professional.
Doctor, I know.
I would always
I recognize that right away once I ask you the question. But anyway, we're just having a conversation.
That's fine. It's we always have to cover our bases, and I think we're moving into a world that needs to understand more and more. Well, let's look to nature, and let's not say that we can't say things about nature in its wholeness, because we are nature. We're all connected. We're all the same thing. And I could get off in a long tangent on that, but it's the truth. And what is being recognized is that CBD has properties that are similar to anti-inflammatories. So that being the case, anything that you really can talk about that might be caused from inflammation might have a benefit living in using cannabinoids. So several people will use it from like a recovery standpoint. No different than saying, hey, I want to eat like an anti-inflammatory like diet. Well, that's the same. I want to use products similar to like turmeric, which we know is great for reducing inflammation, or anything similar to that. So from a recovery standpoint, that's the first way to look at it. And then another way is from its calming properties. So when we talk about sleep, and as you stated, so many people suffer from the lack of sleep. And that just has a ripple effect through our entire lives. Our mood can be off. We're not going to show up for the gym. We're not going to be able to perform what we need to do at work to get certain tasks done, or at school, or you name it. We're just being a human. Like, being a human requires us to recover and to reset every night. And, you know, that this wonderful mind that we have seems to never shut off at times. And CBD actually has shown very, very widely that it gives people this sense of calm. And if you can find the calmness from taking CBD, then you can lay in bed and your mind can slow down. And then you can, of course, fall asleep from that. So there tends to be a misunderstanding that, oh, I'm going to take this and it's potentially going to be sedating. It's more so it has these calming properties. I can find myself more centered and more in tune with what's going on, and then I can fall asleep. So I would say that, you know, from a recovery standpoint, if you are an athlete, it's a great thing to use for recovery. But just as a human being, like, if we're not sleeping, then the effects can be so long and wide-reaching that it's definitely worth using. And then I will say, on the medical end, there are companies out there that have actually released drugs. So these are approved drugs that have CBD, and then another that has THC in it. And the uses for those are pretty wide-ranging. But there's two drugs specifically. One is called Epidiolex. It's used for epilepsy, and that's released by GW Pharmaceuticals. And then the other one is Sativex, which is from a pharmaceutical company as well. So there are the drugs. There are.
And what is that one used for? Sativex.
I wanted to say it was a pain management, and I want to just say with a stipulation that I might not be right. So don't quote me on that. But definitely something to look up. But what it needs to be understood for you know, our government and the people that put regulations into place is that this is really like a supplement. It's a supplement that should be used on a day-to-day basis, and it has great calming properties. It has great anti-inflammatory like properties, and those are so important to just being a human being that if we get those nailed down, the health benefits can just be so wide-ranging.
Yeah, well, I like the fact that you picked two of the big ones, and that's to discuss today, and that is the calming properties and inflammation, because I did not know about the inflammation part, because inflammation is big. Every disease that we have that's known to man starts first from inflammation. So if a CBD product is anti-inflammatory, that's excellent. You didn't touch on the glaucoma one, and I'm just curious. I mean, do you know anything about the glaucoma benefit?
I would have to be taking a guess, but I would have to say it might have something to do with actual inflammation. So I can't say for sure, and I don't want to be saying something wrong here, but that might be what it is. And I would say that if anybody does have more and more interest, even after this podcast, a great resource is a website called projectcbd.org, and you can find so much information on there, and probably get a little lost in the hole, but it's a great place to go and to look for those specific type answers.
Beautiful, thanks. All right, so one last question before we go on our second break is, how can we incorporate CBD into a healthy lifestyle, and how do you take it? How do you use it?
Yeah, great question. So there's so many ways to use it right now. The quickest way to get it in your system is actually through inhalation, but I'm somebody that is of the standpoint that there's too many other negative potentials with the other ingredients that can be found in vaporizers that I would just be very cognizant if you're going to look at that. And with that said, there are companies that put an immense amount of time and effort into their quality control and are very very trustworthy sources. So that's the quickest way to actually use it. If you inhale it, it goes into your lungs, it goes directly into your blood system, and you'll feel the effects, almost instantaneously. The next way is to use what we call a sublingual dropper or a tincture. So it's coming in a bottle, it has a dropper, you shake it up, you take the dropper, you fill it up with oil, you put it underneath your tongue, and then you hold it for 30 to 60 seconds. And that's really the second quickest way to get it into your system, but I would say the best way. Within 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes, you will feel the calming effects. And you always have to play around with dosing, and that's another thing that there's really no one-size-fits-all type thing. But that's the second quickest way to get it into your system. But now an even more concentrated way would be to use it in a capsule form. So if you take it in a capsule, you can actually get a lot higher concentrations. Then it goes through your stomach, it's processed through your liver, and goes into your bloodstream that way. That's going to, of course, take a longer amount of time, maybe 30
Which
to 40.
of these do you prefer? And do you have products that has all three, or where does your product fit in? Okay.
Yeah, so we have the tinctures, the sublingual droppers, and then we have capsules, and then we also have topicals. So the last version is a topical, and it's really like if we went from tincture to capsule to topical, it's like, 15 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, potentially 30 to 40 minutes with the topical. Then you also have to ensure when you're using a topical that it has the correct ingredients to also help with the absorption. So I would say always start with a tincture. That's probably the best place to start, and you can adjust the dosing a lot easier. With a capsule, you're obviously going to get like a set concentration in that capsule, so it's not as easy to play around with the dosing. But those are the three main forms that we have: tincture, gel capsule, and topical. And topical would be more for spot treatment, which makes sense. You're going to put it in one specific spot on your body. Then the tinctures and the gel capsules are almost more so for that whole body effect.
Whole body thing. And where does the gummies fit into that? Because that's the most popular product.
Yeah, and I don't agree with gummies because and that's not a blanket statement. There are definitely some that work. There is a company here in Colorado called Stillwater, and they have a crazy and brilliant technology that helps with the actual absorption. But when you're taking a gummy, it's more like the capsule version of the line that we went down. But since you're not actually delivering that whole concentrated form into your system in the capsule, I have questions about the total amount of CBD that your body's actually absorbing. And then my only other statement about a gummy, which there are great ones out there, as I said, is just the other ingredients. Like if you're seeing, red dye, or you're seeing this, you're seeing sugar, or you're seeing anything like that, to me it feels like it's defeating the purpose. If something is potentially inflammatory,
candy,
like sugar.
Because like I told you, I used the thing and it didn't do a darn thing for me.
And it's like, well, maybe I should have drank water.
Yes, right.
So it's like, it's like that you have the sugar and then you have the CBD, and you're just ending up in the middle. So maybe you just drink water and it might help. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So those are the uses. And how would you suggest that, our listeners incorporate into a healthy lifestyle? I mean, I know you're not a doctor, but let's say that you were to give them a prescription. What would it look like?
Yes. So most people will use it on a daily basis. I actually took some CBD before we hopped on this podcast. So anytime, if you're speaking to somebody, or you need to, you're public speaking, you're speaking to your team members, you need to focus in on something, and you're just looking for the calming properties, you can use it on an as-needed basis in that way. But what I really see most people doing, and how I do it myself, is we have the capsules. I put those in my vitamin box, and I take them every single day at the same time with the rest of my vitamins. And it's just like that analogy of using it like vitamin D. So I would say use it at the same time every single day. Incorporate it with your daily vitamins and minerals. If you want to use it on a case-by-case basis for more calming, then I would, carry the tincture around and plop it underneath your tongue whenever you need to find a little bit more grounded and calm state.
That is actually great. Now, like I said, I've seen when I go by when I was buying the gummy bears, I would go into the store and they would have the CBD oil. And the guy did tell me about, you put the drop under your tongue, and he says it has a higher concentration of CBD in it, or whatever the ingredient is. And that's why it's like, 3 times more than the gummies. And so of course I bought the cheaper one.
We all start somewhere.
But I don't think I've seen the capsules. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, there's just so many questions out there, and that's why we have to get this proper education out there. And so, we don't really know, and most of the time somebody selling it might not even have all the correct answers for the customer, and that's what's that's what's most important, because if we're not educating our customers, then we're doing a disservice to the world, and those people that could actually benefit from it, they might be missing out on it, because without further education, you might buy gummies, or you might buy a product, and maybe the company just didn't put as much CBD as they said they did in it, and it didn't work. And that's just a downright disservice, because it actually does work. You just have to ensure that you've been able to play around with it, and you can find the right dosage, and you have a trusted source.
Okay. Awesome. Well, all right. So let's take our second break, and then we come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about Joseph's products, and then Joseph is going to let us know where we can get his products. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked. We're going to be right back.
Need to incorporate a new business? Go to ea4y.com. Need low-cost bookkeeping services? Go to ea4y.com. Need taxes prepared at a really low cost? Go to ea4y.com. We provide all our services online, so you don't have to leave your couch. Just go to ea4y.com. That is ea4y.com. So where do you have to go? That's right, ea4y.com.
High medication costs are hard to swallow. Whether you are ordering your medication online or picking it up in person during the pandemic, we are helping our patients get the most savings they need for all of their FDA-approved prescription medication. Download the card once and use it forever. If you have health insurance, use the card as an alternative and spend less than your copay. No insurance equals guaranteed savings. Use at all chain pharmacies. Visit johnsonrxdiscounts.com and use code RXJOHN40 for a 40% discount. That website again is johnsonrxdiscounts.com, which is JOHNSONRXDISCOUNTS.com.
Mushrooms are great in all kinds of dishes, soups, quiche, omelets, sauces, and so much more. Did you know it's super easy to grow your very own mushrooms? If you have a garden or want to start one that features food you have grown yourself, visit AncientPathNaturals.com. With Ancient Path Naturals, you will get delicious and versatile fresh mushrooms into your diet that are full of flavor and nutrition. Growing mushrooms has never been easier. With Ancient Path Naturals, you will receive an easy-to-grow kit that works great for beginners with step-by-step instructions. No experience required either. The mushrooms grow back year after year, and you get 5 varieties of spores. You will grow the most desirable mushrooms that will taste great in all of your cooking. Growing your own food is possible and easy. To learn more, visit AncientPathNaturals.com.
My people, it's time to exit the matrix. Exit the matrix. On Cotton for the Soul podcast, we give a raw and unfiltered perspective on eating a plant-based diet to emancipate our minds, body, and spirit up out of this matrix. Hey, we God people. Let's get our together. We are the chosen generation our ancestors dreamed of. Whether you've taken the pill of knowledge or the pill of blissful ignorance, tune in and listen from down the rabbit hole at cottonforthesoul.com. Hungry for more? We upload a new episode every Thursday at cottonforthesoul.com.
When it comes to servicing your garage door, you need someone fast and reliable. O'Brien Garage Doors is family-owned and operated. They provide residential garage door services, including repair, sales, installation, and more throughout the United States. O'Brien Garage Doors, online at o'briendoor.com, has been proudly serving their customers for over 30 years. Their technicians are certified and trained to take care of all your garage door needs and are always courteous and happy to help. For over 30 years, they have been helping homeowners just like you with their garage door repairs, installation, and replacement. O'Brien Garage Doors is a national company based out of Arlington, Texas, and serving over 15 metro areas across the continental United States. Call them toll-free nationwide at 888-937-0061 to set up an appointment. Get your garage door tuned up for just $49.50. O'Brien Garage Doors, fast and reliable garage door services. Visit o'briendoor.com or find them on Google for a location near you.
Have you been furloughed by the COVID-19 pandemic and looking for extra income? We have a solution for you. Head over to www.joinfunbiz.com and partner with a team you can trust, who will treat you like family, marketing organic products that work, targeting weight loss and inflammation. We have over 80 natural, organic, and CBD products. With everything that's happening in the world, we all need a plan B. You can work part-time or full-time. You can work from home and get paid instantly. This is an independent contractor position. Take a free tour to learn more. www.joinfunbiz.com. That's JOINFUNBIZ.com.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life Radio Hour and Podcast. We've been having a really stimulating conversation with Joseph Sheehy, CEO and founding partner of Cured Nutrition. I know that my education on CBD and CBD products has been greatly expanded, so I'm sure yours too. As we wrap up, and we're almost fresh out of time, that happens when you're having a great conversation. I want to ask Joseph, he mentioned that one of, whether competitors or, people that are in the same business as him, Stillwater makes a great gummy bear. So if you can tell us briefly what makes his CBD product, different or better than the next one out there, and then of course you can finish up by telling them where they can purchase your products.
Great, thank you so much. So yeah, it's It's a tough place for the consumer, and for us, what we wanted to do is we wanted to stand on quality, and then we wanted to stand on uniqueness. So we actually have our own partner farm here in Colorado. We can drive down to the farm, talk to the farmers. We have a very robust quality control system, which is most important when you're selecting a product. Go to any CBD company on the internet, and if you can't find the test results for every batch that they put out into the marketplace, I would be a little bit concerned. So we really value that piece of our business and have established the relationships that make that possible. And then on top of that, we actually have a progressive line of products, which we call our super supplements, which include other botanicals and actually functional mushrooms in them as well. So our products have the cannabinoids, but we've taken the cannabinoids and we've approached our holistic or our clinical herbalist in Boulder, Colorado. And then she ended up developing some products for us that are specifically for focus. We have one that is releasing here soon for gut health, and then one specifically for sleep. The names of those are called Rise, Aura, and Zen. And within those products, what we've done is we've taken not only the cannabinoids, but other botanicals that have come from traditional Chinese medicine, and then also included functional mushrooms, which have amazing benefits as well. Combine them all together to create well, you have some coming your way regardless. I was going to say, when we get done, give me your address because I got to ship you off some products. But that's,
Thank you.
That's what we've stood on, is we stand on the quality, we stand on building something unique, and then we stand on thousands of years of proven use. Traditional Chinese medicine and that type of approach, we know it works, because why would it have been used? Why would it have ever been used? So we're trying to bring that back. We've brought clinical herbalists into our company to help us develop those products. And then, of course, on just the straight CBD products, we have the tinctures, we have the straight CBD capsules, and we actually have dog treats as well. It works for dogs just like it works for humans. And all of those really just have a robust quality control system. In the footer of our website, which is curednutrition.com, you can find the quality control section. And then if you do end up ordering from us at curednutrition.com, what I've created is a coupon code for your listeners for 20% off, and that's TRANSFORM. If you use that at checkout, you'll get 20% off. And that's just to say thank you for helping us educate and spread our message.
Wow, that is awesome. All right, so so the Ride and the Zen, you said they're coming, right? But they're not there yet?
Rise and Zen are actually released and will be in your mailbox next week. Those are out there and available for everybody. But the Aura, the gut health product, that'll be released in about a month and a half from now. Okay.
All right. That's a big one. I've been spending a lot of time on gut health, and I've changed my total diet to work on my mitochondria and taking my prebiotics, my probiotics, and all that stuff. So gut health is big. So that's great that you are addressing gut health. That's great. And of course the aura, we understand that would do with emotions and how you feel. So that's great. Well, listen, I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. So, like I said, I've only played around with the gummy bears, but now I'm pumped. I am pumped. So this is great. Yeah, I love it, love it, love it. All right, so listen, I want to, Joseph, it's been an amazing conversation. When you came on the line, I was going to say to you, we need to get your energy up. Now I know why you were so mellow.
Too funny.
But you did get your energy up.
I love it. Thank you for that reflection.
Yes, that's great. Well, listen, I want to thank you definitely for teaching us about the benefits of the CBD product, and I love the way that you took it down to the what you call it, the nerdy part, where you're telling us about the plant and you're giving us the background. It wasn't high level. You went down and let us know basically, how your process and how the product is, taken from the plant. I love that.
Yes.
All right, so I want to thank you, listeners, for tuning into the Transform Your Mind podcast and for staying with us till the end. And as you see, your bonus was Joseph is offering a 20% off coupon when you head over to curednutrition.com and use the code word TRANSFORM to get 20% off. That link will also be on the show page, which is blog.myhealth.us. So if you forget it, you can just head over to the show page and you will have the link on there. And you will also find the links there as well on the show page of the sponsors for this episode. And you will also find a transcript of my conversation with Joseph. I know that we went into some details that if you're driving or so, you might not remember. So head over and then you can read all about it. So, and then lastly, I just want to remind you all to join my private Facebook group called Life Coach, and there you will also get encouragement to transform your life every day on different subjects and topics. So, any last words, Joseph, before we sign off?
Just thank you so much for having me here and helping us spread a very important message. It's much appreciated. Yes, and I thank you very much. Yes, this was enjoyable. So once again, thank you guys all. I know we're still in the throes of the pandemic. So my wish to you guys all is to stay safe. Until next time, namaste.